Hello and welcome to Tall Guy Films. So I know a lot of you guys watch my videos because you either enjoy making videos or you want to learn more about how different types of videos are made. So because of that, I decided to do what's going to be a 3-part series talking about how I make the videos that I put on this channel. So this first part, we're going to talk about this desk here, my workstation, all the hardware that goes into that. And then in parts 2 and 3, we're going to talk about the setup in the studio area where I shoot my films, how I do my lighting, how I do my sound recording, all that stuff. And then in the third part, we're going to look at the actual software, the actual workflow that I take all my video footage through when I process it. So anyway, let's start out right here and talk about my desk.
New, interesting, random, Tall Guy Films.
Alright, so this is basically just going to be a rundown about all of the hardware that I use here. So to start out with, my desktop computer is originally a Dell XPS 8700. It's running an i7-4790 processor. It originally had 8GB of RAM and a GT720 GPU, as well as a 1TB hard drive. But I upgraded that to 16GB of RAM, a GTX 960 4GB model, and then I added a 960GB SSD, SanDisk SSD, and moved my 1TB hard drive to secondary storage. Going on with storage, I also have right here a 3TB external Seagate hard drive, which I use for archiving everything. So after I'm done with my video footage, I'll archive it on there. And so yeah, that is my storage workflow, and I'll go in depth more about how I do all of that stuff in my software video. So moving on to my monitor. My monitors, as you can see, I've got 3 of them right here, are all hooked up to a Monoprice VESA mount. It's a triple monitor VESA mount, and there's nothing exceptional about it. It works very well. It's kind of a pain to set up, but I have a video on that if you want to go see that. And on it, I've got 2 monitors, an LG monitor and an LG ultra-wide monitor, and then my third monitor is actually a really old Dell monitor that I took off of another computer that I just use for miscellaneous stuff. I don't think you can buy a 4x3 Dell monitor anymore, so you couldn't really replicate this setup without finding another old monitor, but this is how I do it. And again, I'll talk about how I use each of these 3 monitors when I do my editing video, talking about how I do my editing. In terms of sound, I've got a pair of Mackie CR3 studio monitors. I've done a video on those, a couple actually, as well. So again, I'll make sure to link all that in the description. They're pretty good. Not super expensive or high-end or anything, but I mainly use headphones, so that's not a big deal. Also, as you can see, they are on their sides because they would not fit standing up on this desk under these monitors. Normally, that would be a bad thing if you're using the speakers for music mixing, because the bass and the high end come out of different speakers. Since they're at different places width-wise, they would be out of phase. But since all the music type stuff I do on headphones, it doesn't matter for me. I've also got a pair of foam pads that came with the Mackie CR3s that I have underneath them, and that's to prevent them from vibrating the desk while they're playing, getting any unnecessary sound that ways. Moving on down the audio line, the headphones that I use are the Sennheiser HD558. They're a pair of open back studio monitors. They're really, really nice. They are slightly disadvantaged because they're open back, which means if you work in a noisy environment or with lots of people around you, they're not going to be super good because they don't do any noise cancellation and they have a lot of sound bleed. But working in a closed studio environment, kind of like this one, they work really, really well and they sound really good. Onto the desk itself, talking about furniture. This is a really old desk. I'm not sure where it originally came from, but I got it from a Habitat for Humanity restore. They basically take old furniture and restore it and then sell it. So this is a pretty old desk. It's really heavy, solid wood, really solidly built. It's a little smaller than a lot of desks you can get today. And probably buying a desk like this brand new would be a lot more expensive than something you get from like IKEA or Office Depot. That would work a lot better, but it works for me and it's really nice. Kind of has that dark wood kind of feel to it. Moving on to furniture, my chair is just a typical Office Depot chair. It's a high back chair because I have a high back, but overall it works really well and it's really comfortable. But again, nothing too fancy. I know a lot of people like those racing type chair, the gaming style chairs. I don't know how I feel about those, but like, anything that's designed to be ergonomic at all will work pretty well, and as long as you enjoy it, that's mainly what counts. So moving on to what's on the desk, how I actually interact with the computer. So to start out with, my keyboard that I've got right here is a DOS keyboard for Ultimate. It's a very, very expensive keyboard. In fact, this keyboard is actually more expensive than my pair of studio monitors, but it's a really nice keyboard. DOS keyboard, if you like Google what is the best keyboard or what is the best mechanical keyboard, DOS keyboard is the company that generally comes up. They make really, really good keyboards. This thing, it's got a metal frame, I believe it's aluminum, and then these really, really solid plastic keys, and then again using Cherry MX switches, which are all really, really durable. It's really, really solid. As you can see, there are actually no letters or any kind of markings on the keys, so you have to know what the keys are. But you can actually get a Professional, the DOS keyboard for a Professional, which is exactly the same as the Ultimate. The only difference is that the keys are labeled, so in case you want that, then that's there. Also, the variant of these keys, this is the Cherry MX Browns, which is one of the 3 more popular versions of the Cherry MX switches. This keyboard also comes with the Cherry MX Blues, and the Blues are a little bit cheaper, but the Blues have an auditory feedback, which means they're a little bit louder than the Browns. There's also the Cherry MX Reds, which are another very popular version, which don't have any kind of tactile feedback, so they're a lot faster. They're more popular with gamers, but I don't think DOS Keyboard sells any keyboards with the MX Reds, so I went with the Browns because they're a little bit quieter and nice like that. For my mouse, I've got a Meonix Now 7000. I got this through Mouse Drop, and again, I've done a video, I believe, on this. It's a really nice mouse. It's matte black. It's actually a pretty large mouse, which is good because I have pretty big hands being tall. It's also, as you can see, full RGB LED, and then it's got adjustable DPI. There's 3 DPI settings that you can switch through using the buttons on the mouse, and then of course forward and backward button for web browsing, which is super duper nice. Also, I have a Logitech Trackpad. I don't use this too often. Mainly what I use it is for when I'm doing rotoscoping for VFX and compositing, stuff like that. It works better because it's a little bit more ergonomic when you're doing a lot of clicking and dragging, which is largely what is involved in rotoscoping. Also over there I have a Xbox controller, which might seem a little odd, and I don't actually use it for any of the video editing stuff I do. I only use it for some gaming that I do, but it's on the desk, so I figured I should include it in this video. The last control interface I have is back here, which is a Shuttle Pro V2. The Shuttle Pro is a control surface, so it lets you map the different buttons to do different things. So I can map the buttons on there to mark in and out points, to play. I can use the wheel it's got on there to scrub, all that sort of stuff. And I'll talk more about that again when we do the software video. But it's really, really helpful, and it's really nice. It's a lot better than just using your keyboard to do all the shortcuts. You can have one hand on the contour, one hand on the mouse. It works super duper well. Also, one more thing I do have on my desk back there is a calculator, which might seem a little bit weird, especially like an expensive scientific calculator, but I needed it for my math classes when I was in high school, and since it's a nice keyboard, a nice calculator, just grabbing it if I need to do any kind of calculations is really nice. It's a lot faster than trying to pull up a calculator on my phone or on my desktop. Also, occasionally I do need to do a little bit of calculus when I'm doing animations. Doing things like derivatives can actually be helpful if you know how to do that when you're doing animation. It's not strictly required, but it can help you be a little more precise. So sometimes having a scientific calculator that's designed for that kind of stuff is actually really, really helpful. Now, the last thing on my desk, which you can see back here, is my microphone. So it's got 3 pieces right there. The microphone itself is a Zoom H2n, which is designed as a field recorder, but I use it as a microphone for doing voiceovers and stuff sometimes. because I can plug it directly into my computer and use it as an audio interface. So it works really, really well for that. And a lot of the times when you see me do voiceovers, or for example, the podcast that I tried out not too long ago, I use this microphone for that. Also on it, it's sitting on a newer, I'm not sure how to pronounce the company's name, boom arm. It's not super nice or fancy or anything, but it gets the job done, gets the microphone out of the way when I need it out of the way, and in front of my mouth when I need it there. And I've also got a pop filter on there, so if I make any or hissing sounds like that, it'll help cut those out and make the audio recording a little bit cleaner. One last thing, I guess, to talk about is the LEDs I've got behind my monitors. Nothing super fancy there, again, you can get them super cheap. So yeah, that pretty much covers my desk. It's nothing too fancy, but I've been putting it together for quite some time, and I've got it pretty much at a point where I feel it's finished, so this is how it is. And if you're interested in any of the stuff that I have here, I'm going to link it all in the description down below. Some of the stuff, for example, this monitor and my computer are discontinued, so I'm not going to link the exact monitor, but I'm going to link the newest version down there. So if you click on it and say, wait a second, this isn't the monitor that he had in this video. No, it's just the newer version because the version I have is discontinued. So anyway, everything is going to be linked down in the description, so if you're interested at all in any of this stuff, please go check it out via the links in the description. Also, stay tuned because again, as I said at the beginning of this video, I'll be doing a second video and a third video talking about my studio setup where I shoot my videos, how I shoot my videos, and then how I edit my videos. So anyway, that's it for this video. If you like this video, if you like seeing how I make these videos, hit that like button. If you don't like this, if you don't want to see any of this stuff and you just want to see the finished videos, hit the dislike button. And if you have any questions or comments or any thoughts at all, please leave those down in the description down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. The microphone, let's break down the design. Naked, the microphone looks like a tiny, oddly shaped flashlight. Up front is the capsule for the microphone, and on the rear we've got a 3.5mm auxiliary connection. On the body of the microphone are two notches, one to hold the windscreen in place and the other for the shock mount. Now let's put the microphone